Hello and welcome to the Property Unleashed YouTube channel. My name's Mark Fitzgerald and today we're going to talk about why is rent to rent any good. But before we start, if you're interested in any of the free tools and resources that I offer to help you on your rent to rent journey, please check the show notes and look at the links below. We offer a 10-step rent to rent business builder guide, a deal analyzer spreadsheet that most people normally charge you for, and also a viewings guide. All of those are free to you to use, and if they're no good to you, they haven't cost you any money whatsoever, but they're there to help you. We also have the Property Unleashed podcast with my good self, and I do interviews, and I also do helpful tips and tricks of how to start rent to rent, how to get started in property in general, and also a bit about mindset. So let's move on. Why is rent to rent any good? Well, what I would like to say is, first and foremost, rent to rent can get a really, really bad rep, particularly in the forums or Facebooks or anything like that. And normally it's done by people or it's put down by people that have failed to do rent to rent successfully. Or maybe it's even a landlord who's had, unfortunately, somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing start to manage their property and it's all fallen to pieces. What I like to try and do now is to try and get rid of those sort of, amateurs. But it's not really amateurs, it's sort of self-educating. You don't know what you don't know. But it's about trying to put a bit of information out there just to try and help people and make sure that they're moving in the right direction and doing what's right for them, what's right for the landlord, and what's right for the tenants. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to make it a win-win-win for everybody. We want to help landlords who are having trouble with their properties, whether it's with HMOs, whether it's with serviced accommodation. We want to help tenants or holidaymakers or whoever may be staying in your property have a good stay, have a good time, want to stay again, want to come back, want to stay longer. And we also need to make sure that we maintain and look after the properties that we're looking after, that we're managing, if you like. And then if we can do that, this is a great little strategy. And the good things about it are, a lot of landlords have a lot of voids, they have a lot of maintenance issues, they have a lot of trouble with tenants. We can take that away from them. That's why it's good for them. We can take the hassle away and we can make sure we get good tenants if we're doing HMOs by doing the reference checks, by getting guarantors, by making sure that we're bringing in the best and the right type of people for the properties that we've got. If it's serviced accommodation, it's about maintaining the properties, making sure people aren't taking parties in there, making sure that you've got the security in place and you're getting the right holiday makers and repeat customers to build up your profile, to build up your own portfolio as well. So it's good in that sense that the landlords should really have peace of mind that you're going to be there looking after their asset, looking after their property. And that way, it's a very good thing. Also, for me, it's with tenants. I mean, I look at my tenants and I class my tenants as customers. Why? Because they put money in my pocket. They are my customers. They pay me for a service. They pay me to live in the properties. So I want to make sure that I give them the best service I can possibly give them. Now, when you look at a lot of letting agencies out there, they're very big, they're very vast. They've got hundreds of properties. Because they don't charge a great deal amount of money, 10%, 12%, 15%. In different areas, it can be different. But they're not making as much profit on the properties as predominantly we are. So we only need a handful of properties, or maybe even 2 handfuls of properties to really bring in a successful cash flowing business. Myself, I have 9 properties in total, and that doubled my corporate wage where I used to work in management. So it is very, very good. Now, I could have gone bigger. I could have grown it bigger. I could have had more properties. In the end, I opened a letting agency and I built that up to a vast amount before I've stepped back from that and just concentrated on the rent to rent side of things. The reason I haven't gone massively bigger in any way, shape or form is because I want a lifestyle business. So it depends on what you want. You want to earn 20 grand a month, 50 grand a month, you can. You can do so. You can grow it that big. But you've got to make sure you don't grow the beast too big that it becomes your life, unless that is 100% what you want to be doing, okay? You've got to make it a vision, a dream, a passion. I always wanted about 20, 25 properties, but I realized when I got to 12 that any more was going to start to really impact the time that I had taking my kids to school, the day-to-day operations that I run and how we do things. I found a happy medium. But this is the beauty of rent to rent. You can set yourself up in so many different ways that depending on the amount of profit that you actually want to take yourself, you know, you can employ people to do the things that you don't want to do. So I always say, look at the size of the portfolio that you want, how much time you want to spend in it. You'll have a bit of trial and error as you're growing your business, but equally to that, you will also find that maybe you just get 2 more extra properties to start bringing people in to do the work and the jobs that maybe you don't want to do. And it works really, really well. So that's another good thing about rent to rent. There's plenty of flexibility in that. Now, you'll see a lot of maybe older investors put rent to rent down. I have a lot of portfolio landlords now come to me say, can you teach me how to do rent to rent? Because the cash flow coming into my business, my properties just aren't set up right and I need to bring some more in. So I've got a big portfolio which is managed by maybe a team or themselves, but I want to bring in some rent to rents as well to get some more cash flow going. It's a great cash flowing strategy. But the one thing you have to remember is a deal is not a deal unless it's a deal. And what do I mean by that? The numbers need to stack up. You can't go fudging figures. You can't go playing around with things. Well, I can always try and exceed the top rent of the area. I can always try and get the bills down to a ridiculous amount. You've always got to go in there a pretty much worst case scenario. If it stacks up at worst case scenario, might only just stack up. But if it does, it's a deal at the end of the day. If it doesn't stack up at all at worst case scenario, then maybe you can bring things back to a level where you know they're going to be. But don't fool yourself. Don't try and get a deal just because you want the deal. Get a deal because it's a good deal. Far too many people are being told and trained to go out there and just get the first deal. Doesn't matter about anything else. Once you get that first deal, it's all plain sailing. It's not the case. You'll lose motivation, you'll get demoralized, and you won't want to follow through with the promises that you've given that landlord if you're not making the level of return that you need to be making. So make sure it's fair for everybody, but make sure as well that you're building a business that works. And you can build a business in rent to rent. You can build your own property business for little money. And that's another good thing. And as I say, tenants are my customers and I like to look after those. So by delivering a good service to these guys and girls and making sure they've got a happy and nice environment to live in, it's another win. So a lot of the times it can be put down, but it's only really when you don't know what you're doing. As long as you know what you're doing, you educate yourself, you can go out there now, you can watch the videos, listen to the podcast. We have the Property Unleashed podcast as well, so have a little listen to that. You can get the free tools and resources off of my good self and other people out there. Educate yourself in all of the areas that you need to educate yourself. And if you want to take it to that next level and supercharge it, then we've got that training for you and support from my very good self to get you where you need to be. I managed to build a successful rent-to-rent portfolio in 6 months. It took me 4 months, mind, to get my first deal. But after that, it took me another 4 months to get 8 deals, which absolutely changed my whole world, and I've never looked back. It's not massively difficult to do, but it is hard work. So set yourself up for success. I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.